Welcome to Conversations That Matter. I am super excited to have my very good friend, amazing rock star realtor to the world, Heather Ostrom, actually, to people who
And
don't
you
know
said
her.
it right. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's Ostrom.
Oh, well, there you go.
You
I
got
said
it.
it right.
Woo!
And you
Small
are the
wins.
better half of the Ostrom team down in Roseville and Rocklin, rosevillerocklin.com.
It's RosevilleandRocklin.com.
rosevillerocklin.com. You are Miss Marketing Bossy Pants herself.
I'm here.
And this is so there's so many things, and we might as well let people know. We actually tried to do this once before,
Yes.
and we had internet issues out the wazoo, and just when I really wanted tech to work for me, it like dropped the ball 1,000 times. Turns out I'm the one with the total problem. I thought hardwired in, but the wire wasn't plugged into anything. So
But it's no big deal because Terry, it's going to be so beautiful. I'm going to have a Seinfeld moment. I'm going to tie it all in with like what legacy I leave. So we're going to bring it full circle with what happened yesterday. And it's going to be like magical.
I'm so excited. That's excellent. That's excellent.
I know you think there's not much up here, but sometimes I'm a thinker.
I actually think maybe you know a heck of a lot more than you let people in on. I think you've got some little secret. I think you're laughing at us all the time, actually.
I was like, oh, I can bring this full circle. This will be great.
Wow, yeah. So I haven't thought it out that much, but I'm really thrilled that you have.
Yeah.
There are a few different ways that I think that this conversation can go, and a few different things that I really wanted to touch on. One is I want people to get the chance to kind of know you a little bit better, just because you're just this dynamic, amazing, super fun person. And I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. She showed up as an Inman ambassador wearing her Supergirl t-shirt and a little pink tutu, and it just blew minds. And it was so much fun, and I love that about you. You always bring some lightness and some laughter to every situation. Anyone who's ever had the blissful opportunity to spend time with you is usually left in stitches, crying a little, maybe even. Super fun, super fun. So we're very grateful that you bring that to our world.
You know what? I think we all need a little more laughter in our lives. We all work hard, and it's all intentional because I feel like we all need some levity in our lives and to offset, and so we can also keep on surviving and be at our best.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's so true because I know personally I can get pretty heavy pretty quick. Wow. We're just looking at your tail right there.
Oh my gosh! I did. Woo! Who knew I was going to have a black bar on my video tag? I hope no children are watching. You might need to put an explicit sign on.
X-rated.
Oh, hi. Did I show?
Not a thing. All clean. All clean. Phew.
Dodged a bullet.
So let's go into, there's a few things. First of all, yes, the humor, always the humor, fabulous, so important. I was just going to say that, I can be guilty of taking life way too seriously, like way too seriously. And it's heavy and it weighs on you and it affects everything in your life, including your family and your friends and your business and whether you're getting enough sleep. And then it just sort of perpetuates, it becomes this awful, heavy thing. And I believe that humor is this incredibly important healing power, really.
It's like our life jacket. I mean, for me and our family, it's like our life jacket. Because I think the same way too, but I always try to project a lighter image online on purpose. Like I get dark, I have all these questioning thoughts. I sit there and I'll analyze things when I go to bed. But at one point I have to say to myself, did I do the best I could to control the variables to the best of my ability? Yep. And at one point I have to let go of things I couldn't control. If people aren't going to choose to do things I warn them about, or there's just things we can't control. And so it's like, I have a choice. Either I'm going to let it just sit like an anchor on me, or I can be a life jacket and find a way to get back up.
I love that. I can see us using that in tweets forevermore. Wear your life jacket. Like that's just a brilliant.
I'm getting deep.
Metaphor. Well, but the truth is like, I mean, we look like just especially on the heels of the Robin Williams story that
that affected me so. Like I was dark that entire week because his personality resonates a lot with me as far as like making people happy and making them light when there's a dark situation. And it's irony that his darkness took him. So it's just hard to process it all.
Exactly. And I struggled with it myself a little bit, especially because I think everyone's been touched by him somewhere along the line. Like you can't not have seen a movie of his. And I always kind of really appreciated his deep ones, like where he got Dead Poet Society, for instance, was such a powerful movie where I just felt so rich, and you could tell he was this multi-layered person, but he always, in any interview I ever saw with him, he got a little bit crazy.
I know, but you could always tell, even in character, and maybe I'm going too far on someone I don't even know, but I always felt like he was really thinking about how he affected someone, and how one little word or or an action can affect someone so positively throughout the day that it can change their lives, know?
I read recently, and I don't know why we're going down the Robin Williams track so deep, but this just quickly, I had read recently that he, when you do when you go, you send your rider as an actor or as a artist, you send your rider to the people that you're going to go work for. Here's all the things that I expect waiting for me in the green room, or how I want things to be. Anyway, his one thing that he had on his rider was he expected 10 homeless people to be hired, and that was it. Like, that was all he expected in his working agreement.
He was using his benefit to benefit others. Behind the scenes, that's beautiful.
And we're only hearing that now. I find that remarkable. Anyway, so that's our little...
Positive actions unseen, and not looking for that feedback, like, you're a good person. He just did it because he was a good person.
Right, exactly right. And he's using his strengths and his power to do something good. Anyway, I love that.
Sorry, I know. He's just, I'm glad we talked about it, because that's just, I feel like there's beauty and there's action behind the scenes that should be online and offline. So.
Right? And that's where I'm trying to take CTM to that place where we do talk about things that actually matter.
Yeah.
Where, yes, let's tie it all back into our lives and business, in real estate in particular, but we're all people first.
Yeah, it's beautiful and ugly. There's the toggle between finding balance between it all. And like when do you have to compromise things, and when can you say that this is my boundary? I can't go past this. Sorry, I'm getting too heavy.
No, it's so good. So this is what I love, though, and this is why you're here, frankly, because, and this is why I interview everyone that I interview, is because there's something that connects us, our shared values. We have sort of the same take on life.
Yeah.
I really am drawn to people who I believe are, taking a personal stand, are living their values, are creating businesses around that set of values.
Yeah, or willing to learn how to improve.
Oh.
Like, like, it's just like, I know that how some people say you can never change people's opinions. You can't change mine. I like listening. I like hearing different side points, because I know my life is only a certain set of experiences, and I love hearing other people's perspectives, because it just adds light to my life.
I couldn't have said it better. I'm exactly the same way. That's why I'm doing this, because I want to find out more about.
And I love your interviews. I love it. I love the roads you take on all your interviews. It's been just so fascinating to hear these people talk and their thoughts.
Right? I agree. Yeah. I think so too. Okay, well, that's awesome. Thanks for that.
You know what? I mean, seriously, it's like when I walk, that's my thing. That's my little therapy for the day, and also my exercise. I listen to you, and it's almost like a self-help when I'm walking. It's just cool to hear different perspectives.
Well, I was going to get there later, but let's go there now. Okay. Walking, health, life balance. You've become this excellent example. You and your husband both have worked very hard.
Yeah.
You've completely changed your lifestyle. It's been very public. We've all sort of watched you as you've gone down this path where you've gotten active, you've changed your diets, you're very publicly sharing your journey. And I love that about you both.
I know. I always wonder, is it too much public? I almost do it because it's for my selfish reasons, like accountability. Like, I'm almost sharing just because I am scared to fail. I'm paranoid to fail. Like, I know what my demons are. I know. And I almost feel like if I put it out there, I'm going to feel like it's going to hold me accountable. It's like my little diary.
I love that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this nice little side benefit is it's inspiring all these other people, including me. I'll have to say, watching you this past year, I've never felt like a bigger slug than I do now.
Well, I don't mean to ever feel that way. I hate when people do, Facebook shaming the fake book. And
no shaming. It's inspiring. It makes me realize, I've got to pull myself away from my desk, and I need to move my body. Like, I need to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, seriously, like the biggest thing I took from my classes was, and also too, this podcast, Tips of the Scale, that I always listen to, it was like, this one guy said, food for fuel, not for fun. And it's not like, I'm still having fun. I still like having my cocktails, having my desserts, but it's like finding balance, that my life is now my checkbook. I'm going to start balancing my checkbook. I know what my calorie range is. And it trickles into my family life, my work, how my reactions work. You know, I feel like it's helped so many facets of my life and just interactions. So it's just been it's been amazing.
Okay, well, let's start at the beginning. What was the catalyst for the change? Like, what happened that got you and Steve to the point where, like, we need to change the way we live?
Yeah, well, you know, honestly, it's not a fun thing, but I'll tell you, my nephew is 25, who is like my personality twin. He was just, and actually I think he's even was better than me, but I just think so highly of him. We lost him to cancer, and it happened so fast. Like December 2012, found something, it just progressed, and we lost him that September, and it just happened so fast. And when we went to go see Jay Leno, someone gifted Dave these tickets to go to Jay Leno, and it was like that day, like Steve and I were like, we need to get our acts together. If this isn't a sign, like, life is short, let's enjoy it's quality, not quantity. Yeah. Because I'm so grateful I knew Dave, I've gotten to love Dave, and I have the memories of Dave. I need to maximize my time on the planet, and I need to start caring for my kids, because I also lost my dad in his late 40s to heart disease. So it's like, it's something, and you know, real estate, there's so much we hide as far as like the stress behind the scenes. We need our bodies to be machines. Right. So that's kind of what fueled it. And so last October, end of October, right before Halloween, we're like, we're doing this. We just need to get our acts together. And it was hard. But then now it's like kind of exciting because we're doing it together. It definitely helps because we're both doing it together.
I agree. Like, that support system makes such a difference for me. My son, my 19-year-old son is the one who's better than me. He's like got us on gluten-free, and he's making us Vega shakes. And
oh my gosh, that's serious. You're crazy.
He's a vegetarian.
Good for him.
So he's extremely healthy that way. He's not healthy in other ways, but that's another day.
I have my carnivore ways, so I'm not perfect. But you know, that's the cool thing. Like, I'm finding balance. Like, I know I'm gonna have my little treats here and there, and I need to find a way to make a livable life, not just a short term. I want this long term for me.
So practicality wise, like, how did you, it was hard starting.
Yeah.
You sit there and you say to yourselves, all right, we need to get help.
We needed help, actually. So, honestly, we wanted to be bossed around because I'm a bossy type person. I like helping. I'm a mom type. I mom my clients. I mom everyone, even if you don't want it. It's just, it's obnoxious. But anyways, so we got signed up for a medical weight management program, and honestly, it was the best thing because it was kind of private in the beginning because there's so much shame involved. Like, you feel like your self-worth, your physical, like, everyone said I smile more now. I'm like, no, I didn't. I've always loved myself, but physically I didn't like myself.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything I ever talked about because I really don't, like, my life thing is, if you're going to whine about it, you better fix it or shut up.
Totally.
So I never really tried to publicly whine about, I don't like physical shaming around my daughters because I do have to be sensitive to that, because I really think, I do have a lot of issues with women that whine and say, I need to go to the gym, I'm so fat. I don't ever do that around my daughters. Right. I always keep this health oriented as far as our life changes.
I'm guilty of that. I'm so, as you know, you slap me around quite a bit.
Little ears hear this. It's like, we're passing it on to the next generation. It's not about what our bodies look like. Our self-value comes from what our energy we give to the world. That's just how I feel.
Well, no, and it's actually such an important subject, and I have been a lifelong like searcher to understand the mental connection. And I think, you know, when we talk about health, it is like all different areas of your life. It's not just physical health. It's mental health. It's spiritual health. There's all these financial health, like all these different ways that we need to approach a healthy lifestyle. And I think getting your head on straight is key.
And knowing too, like, I know that us being in a house that we're happier in has been part of that process. It's like, what do I need to shed in my life? Whether people, variables, physical objects in your life, what do I need to, like, what are the big things that are really making me sad or frustrated? What can I do to change that? And then just making a game plan. But honestly, Terry, we had to get help. We needed have some sort of third party to guide us, to hold our hands a little bit, almost like clients.
Right. Love it. Well, maybe what you can do is send me a link of where you went, or give me an idea of, and we can share that with anybody who's interested, because I think that's sort of important. Getting help. I've learned this. I am now working with, as I try to launch my new company and just all these other areas of my life, that I found as an entrepreneur working by myself all these years, I have finally admitted I can't do it all by myself.
Really, you nail it. It's like we have to have our team, and whether it's literally or emotionally, we have to have our support team, and you have to learn how to get the negative vampires in your life off to the sides, or learn how to turn them off, because you can't control their words that are going to come out of their mouth. You can't control them. The only thing you can control is what you're going to listen to and how you're going to react.
Right, and then choosing proactively who I want to surround myself with, who are going to help me, support me, and move us all together collectively forward. Yeah.
And who gets your ears?
Absolutely.
Who gets your ears?
Absolutely.
There are always going to be people shouting to your cave. You have to learn who you want to say, like, back off, sister.
That's tough. I mean, don't you find too, as a woman, like we tend to be very, like, we want to be loving and accepting and forgiving and all those typically feminine things.
Yeah.
But it can be damaging, and there's got to be, like, there are boundaries that I think we need to set.
I know, but it's like, I know certain people, I love them dearly, but they're not going to give me what I need right now.
Right.
So I can't keep on going back to them expecting a different reaction. What's
interesting is I'm making a outside perceived objection here. Objective. Yeah. I am seeing a much more powerful, stronger, you're more anchored in your own voice, I think.
Yeah.
Than you've been in a while.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's always been there. I almost feel like I didn't feel like I was worth speaking out, and I don't like offending people. Mm-hmm. Not at the point to not compromise my morals, my ethics.
Right.
Not in that sense, but I don't like hurting people.
Right.
I have such a broad audience. I have this group over here, and my friendships are so varied. Like, I'm not... it's just like, where do you drop being a chameleon, and where do you just finally say, it's okay to voice my opinion?
Right.
And finding that voice.
Ooh, tough one. It's funny, you've heard of Brene Brown, and she talks about daring greatly, and she deals specifically with shaming. And have you heard of Brene Brown? Oh, yeah. I'll have to send you some stuff of hers. Okay. She's quite brilliant. She's written several books. She is a professor, does a bunch of research, and she talks specifically about the connection between shame, guilt, fear, all those different things that we've sort of touched on, and how we all wear these masks. And then she specifically talks about how, when we share things about ourselves that are deep and personal, you don't share that with just everyone. You ask yourself, has this person earned the right to hear those things? And I think it's a very blurry line for us, because we talk a lot about dropping the mask and being real, which we are, but I think, what I've learned is that we're real in different levels. Yeah. So you show, when I'm showing up as a professional Terry, that might be different than the Terry who shows up with her husband. Both real Terry, but just a different experience.
And it's like, I think you're adapting to your environment. I mean, and too, I've had women say to me aggressively, and good friends too, like, it's weak. Don't be like that, Heather. Don't say sorry. And it's like, you know what? I think our world needs more accountability. Okay. You need to take accountability for your actions. So I do need to find balance. But you know what? I am going to say sorry. That's me. I like caring about people. You don't have to worry that I'm not going to voice my thoughts. So there has to be balance. But I take accountability for my actions, and I really feel like we don't have enough of that in our world right now. If you screw up, you own it, you say sorry, and you move on.
Hear, hear. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, okay, so we could go down that one.
I know, sorry, I know. That's a big thing for me. That's almost like a societal thing that's driving me crazy. Like, if you got warned and you got told and you screwed up, own it. Nobody's going to judge you, because I think it's more powerful to own your screw-ups.
I completely agree. And I find the people that I'm more attracted to, particularly because we're seeing more and more exposed online.
Yes,
totally. I would say that, like, I'm truly drawn to the people who are letting their true thoughts be heard. And they know probably that it was scary saying what they really felt, because they knew they were going to offend somebody, or they were going to get judged, or whatever. And they're dropping the mask a little bit, and it's refreshing.
I know. I've had a couple people unfriend me for a couple things I did, and it's like, even just commenting on a public post, and I knew it got thrown back in there, and I'm like, then they were gone. It's like, well, you know what? That's me.
So I've been a big believer, and I've said this since my very first presentation on stage, which is, the pie is not only so big, and there is only one you. There's only one you, and you can be the best you that you can be. And so if you are real, like, if you truly are brave enough to say, here's who I am, here's what I actually believe, here are my values. If you say that loud enough to enough people, you will repel the people that don't agree with you, for sure. You
Yeah.
will alienate people. People will be like, oh, you're an idiot.
But your life becomes so much more pure.
Well, no, but then you attract the other people.
Yeah.
Like for all the people you're repelling, you're attracting more like, I feel like it's just a richer,
and that,
truer way to live.
It ties into your business too. It's just like, it takes a while to get there. Like you were saying, you have to repeat it a couple times, whether visually or literally with your voice. But eventually you start attracting exactly who you want to bring to you, and or you need to take a look at what you are projecting. You need to be conscious of what voice you're using, what words you're putting out into the world. Am I attracting these type of people? Or I need to make some variable changes. Not to compromise yourself, but you need to be conscious of what you're projecting into the world.
Yes, which brings us to the brand discussion. Oh my God, you're so good. It's like you planned that.
No, I didn't, but I knew I could feel it happen. Like, oh, this is so exciting.
You and I both love and believe in the power of branding.
Yeah.
You have a design background. Why don't you give people a bit of an history of, okay, where you got, like what you do, how you do it?
Okay, so I went to Chico State up in Northern California, and I got my graphic design degree there. I worked for a bunch of years down in downtown Sacramento, which is the capital of California. Anyways, I went down, and so I worked there for a few years, and Steve and I got married. We met up in Tahoe, and I came back down, and I was working, and I'm like, well, we started having kids, and I was like, well, I'm going to go out on my own and do my own graphic design. So I have about 15 plus years of graphic design experience. And at one point, Steve and I were both self-employed, so to speak, and we were kind of butting heads, like whose client was more important, whose appointment, who gets to babysit today, and there was lots of these struggles with the kids, and you have to, like people say, you don't want to compromise your career, or you have to stay home with the kids. There's all these struggles that go on in your head. Mm-hmm. And at one point, I'm like, I started looking at Steve, I'm like, why, we're a perfect marriage in business too. Why don't I take over your stuff because it looks ugly? Yeah. Anyways, and so I started taking over, and I started doing his photography, his marketing, and it was just really cool. Like we kind of stayed in our own space, because people say, how do you work with your husband? We do different things, yeah, and we acknowledge it. And it's just actually the part we had to work on the most was communicating with each other and amongst our clients and figuring out what's the perfect solution.
Right. So then you bring in your beautiful design talents, and you have created this amazing brand for you as a team. And there's a lot of orange involved, and I think we mentioned Joe the other day.
I'm sorry, Joe. You're my brother on the orange. He has the East Coast, I have the West Coast. We've come to terms. We wrote out a contract.
Yeah. So Joe Schutt, also orange lover.
I love him.
Yeah, he's fabulous. I think there's something I've decided that orange attracts interesting, cool people.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I remember I told you my florist swapped me for having orange in my wedding. I'm like, listen, lady, I know this is gonna look good. And afterwards, she's like, can I get pictures for marketing? I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, focus.
Yes, focus. Orange, and we talked a lot before about design elements and fonts and brain trust, and like, why don't you kind of walk people through?
It's such root level thinking that I think you don't think it's important, but if I can relate to real estate agents or whomever's listening to their business, think about the things that bring continuity into your business. Like in the house, I love seeing matching metals through the door handles, through the light fixtures. I like having continuity.
Right.
And I think the same thing can apply to design. Are you using the same fonts? Is the spacing similar? Do you kind of use the same type of visual angles, and you're caring about the cropping of photos? It almost gets it. People know, and it's my photography too, as far as, and we did actually hire recently a photographer to help me out because we started getting too busy. But that's like the outsourcing. You have to acknowledge your weaknesses. You got to pick your battles.
So true.
But I try to use the same fonts. Try to use the same shade of orange. There's certain visual cues that are just root level items that are a part of your branding that become so powerful. And it doesn't happen overnight. You have to just keep on punching at it. And you think it's ridiculous, but it's worth the effort, because there's this mind memory that happens that people are going to say, oh, orange, that's the Ostroms. I can't tell you how much orange stuff we get.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy, because it means people are thinking about us.
Absolutely.
Top of mind.
But we can go even deeper than that, because I've tried to explain brand to people before, and they're like, I don't understand why everybody spends so much bloody money creating their own brands.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's like, well, you don't understand brand then.
Yeah.
is how I look at it. So what I say in that discussion usually is, well, brand is not, your tag, your logo, or even the color orange in that case. What it is it's the experience that they have every time they touch you. So whether that be through visual print ad or a face-to-face conversation, or someone said something nice about you, or whatever that may be, that ends up sort of all of those things tied together to represent your brand. And the fact that someone knows, they've seen the orange enough times, orange in and of itself is not a reason that I'm going to be attracted to.
Exactly. It's like I'm picking up trash on the side of the freeway. It's like, and we went through that in the beginning, and it's like, why would you ever want to be associated with Heather Orange? And I'm like, seriously, back off. I have a vision.
Yeah. Awesome. So I love that.
And that's another thing too. When you first do something, and if it's different, you are going to get pushback. You are going to hear negative feedback, but you got to stick with it, because there's something to be said for consistency. If you keep on repeating this, and it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It's cool to have variety, but just being appreciative of like what fonts you're using. You don't have to have gradients everywhere. Keep it simple, clean, and there's so much power to simplicity.
Well, you just said it, vision.
Yeah.
Clarity of vision, which I preach all the time. Did you see the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt? And he played Billy Bean.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where they talk about he's going to be the guy that goes up against the Red Sox, and he had 40 million versus their 125 million, and he had to change the way that they played the game.
Yeah.
And he's like, baseball's going to hate me. And the Red Sox owner was saying, well, somebody's going to get bloody being the first one going through the door. And I've done presentations using that analogy, because I believe in stop looking at what everybody else is doing. Don't not do what other people are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, we learn through experience, we learn through other people, and use them as examples for sure.
Yeah.
But get clear on your vision, know what you're trying to create, and then don't worry about the naysayers.
Yeah. That's almost like mentorship too. You have to keep on listening. You never know, even the person that just started yesterday, they can bring some clarity to your life. Like, holy smokes, I never even thought about it. It's nice to have someone say, have you thought about this?
Yes.
But yet he took those variables of success and just went a totally different direction. He didn't let rules create his route.
Love it.
And and let me tell you, Billy Bean, actually Steve's dad, was his little league coach. What? Tell me that's a small world.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. So,
that's amazing. Small world.
I know. That's why I love that movie. That was a fantastic movie. I think that's genius. Like, when you know what variables are going to hopefully bring you success, and not being afraid to go that route.
It was incredible example. I mean, it's obviously not an everyday story, but you can take that same approach to anything, to any area of your life. I love it.
Yeah.
So just sort of the hacking, we live in a hacking world. We're hacking culture, we're hacking companies and business models. We're hacking everything right now, and I love that. It's actually, there's never been a better time to really create something of your own.
Exactly. Not being afraid of change. It's just something that's a little bit different. And it's almost like when I would do logos for companies, I knew which one was the best solution. So you never the rule is in graphic design, don't ever show the logo you don't like, because they will inevitably pick that logo, because it's subconsciously, it must be something that's already familiar out in that environment.
Right.
Don't be afraid to do something. It doesn't have to be some secret, just above life decision. It can be really simple. Little changes make difference, just to keep you noticed and at top of mind.
I completely believe in that. There's a whole philosophy right now called the big small, where it's about those little incremental changes that really do sort of move that needle. And from the surface, nobody might even notice.
Exactly.
But if you keep at it bit by bit, it starts to create this momentum. And
heaven is in the details.
And next thing you know, people are sending you orange gifts.
I'm telling you.
I love it. That's so cool.
And so, but I have a lot to learn, because I have to overhaul my whole website, but it's almost like my mind's almost my own worst enemy right now, is from keeping me from action. So it's like I have to take my own medicine sometimes, but I do feel like that's one of my strengths, as far as even behavioral parts are part of your branding. Like, that's Absolutely. The experience that the customer feels and how friends feel, because your life, our business is our life and our business. It's it's such a fluid type item that how we treat things.
I love it. And so anybody who knows you at all has seen that, you know, your family is obviously very forefront for you.
Yeah.
You guys share pictures of your kids. You get your kids involved in some of your videos. I saw your ALS ice bucket challenge, and the girls are pouring ice over your head, and the slow-mo and the roar. I loved it. It was so fabulous.
And my kids love that. Like, my kids' humor is our life, and I love that. And I know maybe some people are like, oh, you're using your kids for advertising. It's like, no, they're a part of our lives. If we're not your flavor tea, toodles noodle, you know? I
completely agree with that. And the truth is you can, like, my sense from the outside looking in is that these girls, these kids, now
they love it.
They clearly share your personalities, and they are having so much fun performing. And I mean, I can just see them all grown up being you, just, you know, amplified. And it's so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch.
So yeah, I mean, they're a part of our lives, and I mean, they'll go on appointments with us. It's like, you know, real estate doesn't obey normal 9 to 5 hours. Right. It's all the time. So either you accept us with our children and our balance, or maybe someone else has a better solution. And that's one of my biggest epiphanies this year was like, you're a puzzle piece. You can't force puzzle pieces. If it fits, awesome. If it doesn't, you kind of need to go your separate way.
Ooh, I learned that the hard way through a marriage.
I know, but it's true. Even in all friendships and business, it's like, you can't force it. You can shove all you want, but it's not going to fit.
It's
you know?
True. And so, and a lot of agents really, particularly in my people are newer agents who are struggling to build their business.
Yeah.
And that when you first get started, it's pretty typical that if something comes along, you kind of jump on it because you're terrified of letting it go.
They need a paycheck. That's what it really boils down to. Because Steve and I chased business too, because you need to feed your family. You need to put food on the table. That's why it stinks. It's like, you do have to chase a little bit, or you're not going to be able to pay your medical.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's almost like, and now that we're at this point in the business, we can start having this step back. Is this person a good fit? No matter how much energy we've already put into it, and you feel like you have to get that return, because you don't get paid unless it closes.
That's right.
And it's like, you have that mentality. And I think in this business, it's all the more important. If you can and have the ability, don't chase. Let be a magnet for positive behavior in your life and your business when you can. Because I know sometimes you got to live. You got to put food on the table.
Well, you really do. But like, let's talk about being a magnet, though. So what are some of the things that you guys do to be that magnet? Have you like made conscious decision? Here's what we're going to do.
Yes. I mean, and Steve, and I don't mean to desensitize or cheapen the experience, but I love being the fisherman. I love making people feel good. And that's just my natural personality. Mm-hmm. I like to take care of people, and Steve's more the doer.
Yes. What a great match.
I know, but you know, it's like, it's people come to me to be the doer, and I'm like, no, this is, you know, we know what our powers are. I love checking in on people. I love asking how you're doing, completely separate from the business.
Right.
And it's genuine. And I know I feel like that's my gift I have. I love doing that, and that makes me happy. So that's part of
I love that.
But, you know, you almost have to have a conscious moment, like, where you realize what your gifts are and say, you know, there isn't necessarily a financial tie back to it, but it pays off so much when you're free to actually care, make that a part of your business. Because it's a love. I mean, buying a house, you're giving them a space that they're going to hopefully love and take care of them. It gets so deep with, like, the house. It's your space. It's the neighborhood.
Personal.
I get really caught up in like, well, do you know how far away the grocery store is? Are you really going to be okay living here? I like thinking about do you know the school's going to be, traffic is going to be crazy on the street? I think about those things, you know, and that's it just ties into our personalities as far as what we do best in our business.
I love that. Do you find that dealing with so many different types of people, like how do you sort of manage the different personalities, and what kind of systems are you using to sort of keep in touch and, you know, maintain that the hands-on and
well, that's kind of nice because we have a buyer's agent on our team, and I know instantly after I talk to a client, because usually I'm the first one that talks to them, or Steve. I tell you, what's been interesting too is we're getting more phone calls than emails now,
really?
Which is an interesting shift.
That is.
Because basically before, like, the anonymous email would come across, and you'd hope they'd respond because they think you're just some faceless creature, but it's like, I put details into my email, like, just to say, hey, just create an interaction. Yeah. We're getting more phone calls. But once we talk to them, we can kind of see who's the better suit. And usually our website and our marketing seems to attract common personality now. So it's not really been a huge issue. I mean, there's control issues. So that's an interesting toggle. Like what's successful as far as like my thing I'm analyzing a lot right now is my seller prep lists. What is the cutoff where people are going to stop reading? And when do people take it seriously? And that's almost like a problem in real estate. Anyways, like you should be reading the paperwork. You should be asking a lot of questions. Yes. And I tell people, if you're not asking questions, you're not reading.
Right.
And you need to take accountability for this huge financial purchase.
I agree. I do think, though, just to cut sellers a break, buyers a break, it's a lot of these forms are highly, like the legalese stuff.
And that's why I try to translate that. And so I try to give these seller prep lists. And it's like, it's learning what's too much text, what's not enough, and also picking up on the cues they give you. Like, are they a phone call person, are they a text person, email? It also ties into what they're going to read. And the auditory, they have to, are they a visual person? Are they a listener? It's fascinating to learn what paperwork's really, truly going to help that person.
Real estate is one of the best industries to really study human behavior.
It's so crazy. And when you think you got pegged, it's like someone throws in like, oh, I didn't see that. And it's like, oh man, we talked about it on the phone. Right. It's like, it's fun to analyze it. Like, it doesn't make me mad. I'm like, ooh, what can I do to get better?
Yes. And it's like it's never the same thing twice. Just when you think you've learned everything you could possibly snowflakes. Tell people what you mean when you say snowflakes.
Well, it's like, this goes like, I don't want to get too deep, but it's like when people get caught up too and like people mimicking their style, it's like we're all snowflakes. I feel like each house is a snowflake. It's always different variables that are going to come up in your transaction, whether it's sewer or it's water or the utilities might be too high. And I also feel like with my business, when I get, when you see people mimicking what you're doing almost to the T, it's like, okay, they may be doing this visually what I'm doing, but they don't have my personality, and that's part of my brand, and that's part of the magnet. So.
Right. And then if we talk back again, if we look at anybody who goes to your website, will clearly see. So there's actually, you've done a really great job of infusing video, and I'm a big believer in video because
we've been doing that for years. We used to get teased for that. People made fun of us.
Really?
And that's how I met David Marine.
Really?
Yeah, and he noticed it, and he reached out to us, and we were one of the few people doing it, years ago. And part of their YouTube channel, we were one of the few ones doing it out here, and that's kind of how it fueled my relationship with Coldwell Banker.
Oh, so David Marine is your marketing director. Actually, he's been
he's the VP brand engagement. I want to say.
There you go.
If I have your title wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, David.
You're my brother. You're my nerdy brother. I love him.
Don't worry, he'll never see this. But anyway, you're going to be actually on the stage at Coldwell Banker Gen Blue in LA, are you not?
I'm going to be on a panel.
Yeah. And what is the panel about?
Reviews. Just because that was another thing we kind of explored early on. And I tell you, it was funny because Steve was my perfect candidate because I remember him kind of eye-rolling Facebook, Twitter.
Yes.
But then he started hearing people's comments like, hey, we found you on Yelp. We found you on Google. You guys were the first ones that came up, and it's like my evil madness finally paid off. But it had to be a third party to tell Steve.
So time out. So when we talk about views, we're talking about traffic to your sites?
The business, and also actually just direct phone calls. Right. I mean, it's been a lot more phone calls, which is interesting to track incoming business because I have to rely on Steve to tell me, and it's like, in emails I could track everything, but now I'm trying to, see where things are coming from. It's like Yelp's still a powerhouse for us.
Is that right? So the divas in Seattle also,
and that's how we got talking too.
Oh, really?
And that's how we got to really know even Stacy up in Denver. Like we all were talking about reviews, and that's in our thing. And it's funny. It's fascinating to learn behaviors that way.
Well, now let me ask you this, because I think there was a time when the Yelp reviews were extremely powerful.
Oh, yeah.
But the space was quieter then, and there weren't as many opportunities to review. How do you see that today? Like, if you were starting fresh today, where would you put your energy?
Google. Because the thing is, we have so many hidden reviews. If you're not a regular Yelper, it's just something. And I always tell people that, like small business owners, you want to know the best thing you can do? Start doing a lot of reviews for other people, because putting that positive energy out into the world, it may not translate to reviews back for you, but people always remember when you say nice things about them.
Ain't that the truth? And actually mean it. Like, don't just do it.
No, I don't mean to cheapen it. When I say it, I write pretty scathing reviews too. So it's not like I'm all rainbows and glitter. I'm not like eating unicorn meat over here. So we keep it real around here. And one of my neighbors actually found one of my Yelp reviews, and he goes, "I didn't eat at that place because I could have sworn it was your review saying something bad about it." I'm like, well, I told him I'd give him a second chance. I was just putting my words out there because it was 2 really bad experiences, but I had disclosure that I'd give him another chance. But
it's interesting. So, like, I know there's talk right now about sort of the instant response realtor, right?
Yeah.
And that's becoming like this big topic, and the review things ties right into that. And so it's like, you know, the
flame war, you just worry. You're like, shoot, you know, it's like, what if we'd had a family death or something horrible had happened in our lives, and we might be judged on that one moment. I feel like we're losing our humanity to flame.
I think that's a massive discussion right there.
Yeah.
And we won't have time to go too far into it, but I definitely want to touch on this for a moment. There is some power shifting here, and in the wrong hands, power can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, it's so easy. People are so brave. I'll use the child bullying example.
Yeah.
Kids today feel so free to say the most horrible things to each other online, and it's causing such damage. And I'm seeing the same, it is bullying behavior with business as well. There are a lot of unreasonable people with unrealistic expectations that now have the power to completely demolish you. And I think we have to be really cognizant of that. And I know that's a big fear. So trying to figure out the best way to sort of mitigate that and manage that. And the only thing that I can come up with is I saw once a restaurant it was a movie house. I think it was a movie house, but somebody got on and just bitched about whatever had gone wrong. And they retaliated with, they captured her scathing voicemail message. And they put that out there. And it was like everyone just went, wow, she's crazy. And so I mean, there's a part of me that says the pendulum will swing. We'll all go a little crazy for a while, and then we'll come back to center.
We all have our moments.
And I also feel like, you know, like for instance, in a blog post, if you get some, you know, awful, hateful comment. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about it, but there's times where I'm like, I'll tackle it head on. And there's other times where I'll just back off and see what happens, because you kind of feel like there's just no point in going down that road, frankly.
You can sense the anger. Like, is this fixable even? Or is it even worse saying it's just, I don't know.
Is he actually looking to solve a problem, or is he just raging?
Exactly.
And I think that's the metric, right?
And, you know, but this goes back to accountability. Like, if we do screw up, I am not incapable of error. I try to work as a team with my clients. I say, hey, look, I am great at what I do, but I need your second set of eyes to look to make sure I did everything in accordance with what you want to project about your house.
Perfect.
So it's like, if you screw up, like you can take a review. If you get a bad flame review, you just have to acknowledge, you have to like sit there and look at the words. How did this happen? What can I do? And is this fixable?
I love that. So I think that's a really strong, proactive approach. So somebody gives you a review. I think both ways too, by the way. Like, I think we're too quick to just accept all compliments.
Yeah.
I think we really have. I love it.
And you can get too roostered up. You can be like, damn, I'm good. You know, and it's easy to do that after you get like a nice review. And I'm like, because a lot of this kindness just comes without, you know, these sellers are just so happy and they put a review, and I'm like, you get a little puffed up and your feathers start getting flooded out. And it's like, no, but you need to keep it in check because, I don't know, there is balance to like everything.
I liked the way you phrased it earlier. It's like, own it. So whether it's bad or it's good, I think you own it. I think you do a reality check. Is this accurate? Did I really perform at that level?
Yeah.
Good or bad?
Yeah.
And if I did, I probably should own it.
And not being afraid to ask clients, like even when we don't get listings, the one thing Steve and I have a lot of conversations on, if we don't get the listing, and we have a pretty good track record, not being afraid to ask, did we do something wrong? Or what was it you made the other person? It's just fascinating to ask the whys, that you're scared. We're so scared to know the truth sometimes of what our ugliness is, and it may not be ugly, but it's interesting to see and it goes back to the projection. What am I projecting? What was I too aggressive or controlling?
I find it interesting how you phrase that, and I think it's an important distinction in how we word that. So I love that you're asking the losses there. I think that's an important lesson that can be learned, and we can all figure out how to improve from that information. It's probably really valuable information, but how you phrase that question, I think, is key. So instead of saying, well, what did we do that was wrong? I think it's so much more powerful to say, why did you choose the other agent?
Yeah,
or is there something more we could have done?
Exactly. Using positive charge language where you're not compromising your strength. You're not giving your strength to somebody else. Like, we're pathetic. Why didn't we get it?
Yeah. Exactly.
I know, but that's like, even right there, it's totally right. Like, what appealed to you about the other agent, and keeping it positively charged so you keep your strength and energy. Yeah. But you're still learning. So, and I also think that's just thing, always being willing to learn. You're going to be great at sales. I feel like you just have to always be organic and adapting to what's there without compromising your integrity and your ethics.
I love that. I love that. That's so powerful. And I mean, this is why I love you and what you're doing. You are truly such a
I know, but I have so much to do. But I have so many ideas I need to accomplish. But I feel like, no, I just like, it's just like you get so excited, and it's like, well, and that's too the balance of family and business. So that's how I get so like, when I hear people online say this, I need to do this, and people ask, have you done it yet? And I go, no, but I've done this and this, and it's okay. I'm not making myself feel bad for what I haven't accomplished yet, that I yet have to do.
Oh my gosh. And so many of us do that. We beat ourselves up because there's always more you could be doing. Always.
That's what I mean. Even in my health, it's like, I could have been doing that. No, you know what? I kicked butt. I've lost over 90 pounds in like 11 months. Yeah, I'm beating the table and I'm shaking the camera because it's,
so proud of you.
But I mean, even in business, it's like, you know what? Let's focus on the positives, because negatives are anchors, and we need to keep on going forward to get better. And things will happen with time. Just have your plan.
Agreed. So helpful, so healthy. You're such a great example, not just with your weight loss and your ambition and your drive, but just your positive attitude. It's so inspiring. Like, it just is so inspiring. And people who know you just adore you. And I know you can own that one. That's one you can own.
I'm trying. I know, but I know.
No. That's one.
I know. I'll own it. Thank you, Terry. I won't try to rooster up too much.
There you go. Too late. All right. Before we wrap this up, you knew this was coming.
I know, I'm ready.
Okay, we always ask the legacy question, and Heather, I know yours is going to be so good. When you are at the end of your life and you're looking back, what will have been the things that are most meaningful to you? What do you want your legacy to be?
I have a couple. There's a few things, and I have 3 kids. I have 2 older daughters and a son. So I get so sensitive about little girls because I grew up with such insecurities, being tall, I'm heavier set, and like being equated with my value. I try to be so conscious of being health oriented, not numbers or physical way I'm looking oriented.
Yes.
And also too, I'm trying to teach my kids to speak the truth kindly, but not compromise what point you're trying to get across.
Ooh.
Powerful. And that's a heavy thing.
Powerful.
Like I always tell the girls, and this is when we tie back in, it's like, and I hate to say the cliche lemonade, but it's really gets down to that. Like, if something throws you a curveball, there's nothing you can't fix. It just may not be the outcome you expected, and it's okay.
Ooh.
Yes.
And
I feel like that's something I'm really trying to be conscious working on with my kids. Like, I know this isn't how we thought this was going to come out, but you have so many cool tools. Don't be afraid to use your tools to find a different solution. It might be just as cool, if not better.
I absolutely love this. We could talk about.
I'm sorry. I know. I didn't mean to get all deep.
Well, that's what I wanted to have, the deep conversations, or go a little deeper.
I know. So it's not just funny, Heather. It's deep, Heather.
Deep, Heather. You are brilliant. You're a life force, truly. And I'm so grateful that you joined me today for this conversation that truly does matter. Truly.
You're awesome. I think so highly of you, Terry. So I appreciate you having me on the show. I feel honored. Thank you.
Truly blessed. Thank you so much. Peace.
Oh, girl.
Woohoo!